तो दसेगा कि साड़ी अज की खास मेहमान है सोफिया पैप ਜ਼ੈਨ ਹਕ ਨੂੰ ਵਿਆਹੀ ਹੋਈ ਪਾਕਿਸਤਾਨੀ ਮੂਲ ਦਾ ਵਾਤਾਵਰਣ ਦੇ ਬਿਦਰੇ ਨੂੰ ਅਰਪਿਤ ਕਾਰਕੂਨ ਜਿਸ ਨੂੰ ਉੱਥੋਂ ਦੇਸ਼ ਨਿਕਾਲਾ ਦੇ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਗਿਆ ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਵਾਪਸ ਲਿਆਉਣ ਲਈ ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਪਟੀਸ਼ਨ ਚਲਾਈ ਗਈ ਹੈ ਜਿਸ ਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਉਹ ਸਾਡਾ ਵਿਸ਼ੇਸ਼ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰੇਗੀ। ਇਨ ਦ ਮੀਨ ਟਾਈਮ ਜੇਕਰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਾਡਾ ਚੈਨਲ ਸਬਸਕ੍ਰਾਈਬ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੀਤਾ ਸਬਸਕ੍ਰਾਈਬ ਕਰਨ ਦੀ ਕਿਰਪਾਲਤਾ ਕਰਿਓ, ਅਸੀਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਧੰਨਵਾਦੀ ਹੋਵਾਂਗੇ। Sophia, thanks for joining me. Thanks for being my guest.
You're welcome.
So Sophia, what is the brief background of Zain Haq case?
So Zain and I met through our activism to stop the logging of old growth trees, which was a campaign promise that the former BC NDP party ran on and failed to follow through on. So that's how we met. Unfortunately, through our nonviolent climate activism, Zain had some, low-level mischief charges. And because of this, the Canada Border Services Agency decided to deport him. Now, even prior to deportation, and even prior to his criminal charges being formally laid, the CBSA did actually detain him twice and ask for his indefinite detention. So the lead up to this deportation was pretty stressful. We sort of saw it coming because of how aggressive the CBSA were behaving towards Zain in particular. So before his deportation, though, the former Minister of Immigration, Honorable Mark Miller, he actually stepped in and intervened and stopped Zain's deportation through ministerial discretion. Now, this should be law. I mean, it is law. It is law. Ministerial discretion is top law. However, the Liberal government, before we had our election in last New Year and all of that, the Liberal government was sort of on its last legs and lost a lot of momentum and support of Canadians for whatever reason. And during that time, the CBSA reinitiated Zain's removal despite ministerial discretion being granted. And they essentially removed him in January of 2025.
Right.
Yeah.
What more you can tell us about his climate justice activism?
Right. So we met through our climate activism against the logging of old growth trees. However, Zain was involved in other climate activism. He was involved in a hunger strike through his university, Simon Fraser University. And he actually, through his hunger strike, got the entire university to divest entirely from fossil fuels by this year, 2025. And so you'll see posters of him, and actually he's still sort of iconic there, which is amazing. So that was sort of his launch into activism. And then he got involved with Extinction Rebellion, and then sort of COVID hit, and then he got involved in old growth forest preservation, especially following Fairy Creek movement and all of that.
Now, despite being married to a Canadian woman, why do you think the government decided to deport him to Pakistan rather than letting him stay here on compassionate grounds? Because that's the most logical thing to do.
Oh, yes. I am biased, but I also agree with you. And the thing is that we have to remember the government did do that. Mark Miller, with his executive authority, actually did intervene and stop his deportation the first time around. This is, and again, there is argument to say that this was the right thing, and this is the top legal order. Now, why did the CBSA, the question is, why did the Canada Border Services Agency, once the government was no longer looking, once they no longer, had the popularity or whatever, will to act or intervene, why did the CBSA reinitiate his deportation despite openly acknowledging that he's not a risk to public safety? We had a sitting cabinet minister, the Minister of Environment at the time, Stephen Guilbeault. He's also a sitting member of cabinet still, this time for the Canadian identity and culture. So despite all of these things, why did the CBSA choose to reinitiate his deportation? The long and short of it is, I don't know the specific reasons. It's a bit of a black box, but he was definitely targeted. And we can say this for almost certainty because they tried to, again, detain him twice before criminal charges were laid indefinitely. This is highly unusual. And I'm not speaking as a lawyer, people can go and look that up, but according to very experienced lawyers, this is highly unusual. And the aggressiveness that CBSA sort of tried to deport him and were ultimately successful
Hmm.
was quite unusual. So I don't know.
No, I can understand, but how much you think this can be attributed to racism because of his ethnic background?
Again, it's a black box. It's easy to point a finger.
Hmm.
And, I think it would be remiss not to mention the possibility of racism,
Hmm.
but I don't see any hard and fast evidence. There was nothing that was said or particularly, you know, in a racialized way. But again, there is that question sort of hovering unasked or now asked
Right.
by people such as yourself. Well, was there racism involved? What was going on here? Because it is really unusual, and there's only so many ways we can explain that.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Now, Sophia,
Yeah.
what kind of challenges you both are facing because of this situation?
Wow, where do I start? Well, first of all, I'll speak from my position because I hope you can speak with Zain himself another time.
Absolutely.
Um, but for me, I am very unaccustomed to the language here, the culture here. I love the food here. I love some of the traditional clothing here. It's beautiful. And I am learning
Hmm.
Urdu Hindi. And I really love the language so far. But
Right.
it is unfamiliar. And it's, an area, or Karachi in particular, is a part of the world that a person like me can't just go for a walk outside.
Hmm.
Just because of safety or security concerns. Last time I was here, for example, there was the most recent, hostilities between India and Pakistan, and that sort of added another layer of insecurity onto an already, I would say, fairly insecure situation for a foreign woman to be. So that's, obviously a large thing. But on
Right.
the other hand, I am separated from my immediate family, besides Zain. And of course, I want to be here because, my husband's here. But at the same time, my parents are getting older. I'm very close with my parents and my brother. My brother actually moved into Zain and I's place when Zain was deported. So the level of support that I get from my immediate family members and my very wide family friend circle is just, it's really hard to put into a little soundbite, but I really owe um, so much to them. And I wish I was with
Hmm.
them.
Right.
So that I feel like I'm missing out. I also feel like I would like to contribute to Canadian society more. I feel like people with Zane's sort of moral compass and ability to act with courage and yes, take risks, you know, um, in a pro-social way. I think these people are very important. And
Hmm.
not to toot my own horn, but we did meet through climate activism, and Canadians do show that we want these people in government. We have Elizabeth May, we have Stephen Guilbeault, Bob Rae, who is the former premier, longest running premier. He's our current Canadian ambassador to the UN. Many other people, Kennedy Stewart in Vancouver, on and on and on. So I feel like Canada, as again, we enter into the world stage, we need leadership and we do have leadership, but I see a disconnect between our our leaders right now and the young Canadians, the younger generation. I feel like there is a lot of disjoint, and if we don't get our act together, in 10, 15, 20 years, there could be a lot of social tumult. And I worry about that for Canada and the world, but for Canada. So I want to contribute to Canada in a positive way, and I feel left out, and I know Zain wants to as well. And we're a pretty good team, so I would love to be there, obviously, with him.
No, I hear you. I hear you. Now, Sophia, tell us a bit about your petition and the kind of response it has received so far.
Yeah, so I launched a petition a few months ago now, and within a month, I had 2,000 signatures. So this is an official parliamentary petition on the House of Commons website to essentially lobby the Minister of Immigration, who is Honorable Lina Metlich Diab. She's a new minister in the federal realm, that is, but it's to lobby her to essentially use her discretion, just as Honorable Mark Miller did formerly, and bring Zain back to Canada and reunite myself with him there. So that's what the petition is in the long and short of it. And we have over 3,000 signatures now, and I'm trying to get the word out to other Canadians, not just BC based, which is obviously where I'm based and our strongest support, but other Canadians should hear about this because Zain's
Absolutely.
deportation sets a pretty weird precedent, especially for Canada, who is not really, we're not known for deporting immigrants. We're not known for separating families. We're not known for being counter to, environmental values, again, because we elect these types of environmental, activists time and time again. So I think Canadians should hear about it and they should be able to, sign their name up. It takes 1 minute. And I hope to get close to 5,000 signatures by the new year.
Right. Now, where can people learn more about the petition and how can they get involved?
Absolutely. So they can go onto the House of Commons website, in Canada, and they can essentially search petition. And then there's a little search bar, they can put in Zain Haq, HAQ, and 2 petitions should pop up, one of which is still open until January. And they can click on that and they can take 1 minute of their day and they can sign it. And they can also read the whole petition there. And so it just sort of lays out in shorter format, maybe a little less charismatically, what I've said to you already.
Absolutely. So it was nice talking to you. Thank you so much for your time. Is there
Thank
anything
you
I
so
didn't
much.
ask you before I let you go?
I should have thought of that question, but no, I can't think of anything right now. But yeah, I guess just keep your eyes on our social media as well. We have an Instagram channel. I've just started a YouTube channel, both called Bring Zain Home. And yeah, I'll be posting some more videos and hoping to collaborate with other people there.
Wonderful. Talk to you again, Sophia. Take care. Bye for now.
Okay, thank you so much.